Here we go, and here's our lesson on the 4 operations with fractions. So by 4 operations we mean add and subtract, we also mean multiply, and we mean divide. 4 operations with fractions, here we go. Adding and subtracting to begin with. Again, this is just a review, so we'll kind of work through it. So when we're adding and subtracting fractions, you need a thing called the lowest common denominator, which I sometimes call the LCD. So when we think of an LCD, we're thinking, what's the lowest common multiple of the two denominators? So what's the smallest number that 5 and 4 divide evenly into? It's not 10 because 5 goes into 10 but 4 doesn't. It's not 12 because 4 goes into 12 but 5 doesn't. So what would be the lowest common denominator of 5 and 4? Just having a think. That's right, it would be 20. So good idea. First of all, think what is the lowest common denominator. So that means we've got to rewrite the fractions so that they're both over 20. So something over 20 plus something over 20. So you then think, what do I need to multiply 5 by to make it 20? I need to multiply it by 4. So I need to do the same thing to the 4. So both the top and bottom here are going to be times by 4. So 5 times 4 is 20, so 4 times 4 is 16. So 4/5 is equivalent to 16 over 20. 3/4, how do I write that as something over 20? So try to think, 4 times what equals 20? It's 4 times 5. So we need to multiply the numerator by 5 as well. Denominator by 5 and the numerator by 5 to keep so that it's an equivalent fraction. So 3 by 5, that's right, that's 15. Fantastic. And upon doing that, the last thing to do is just keep the same denominator. Denominator does not change. Some people think it changes, it doesn't. You just add the numerators. So what's 16 plus 15? That's right, it's 31. Then you just think, can I simplify this fraction? 31 over 20? No, that doesn't simplify anymore. You can leave it as an improper fraction. If you happen to want to change it to a mixed number, that would be 1 and 11 20ths, because 20 goes into 31 once with 11 remainder. Okie dokie. Now when you've got, so this was easy because they were just both regular fractions, but when you've got mixed numbers, the first step is you must convert it to a improper fraction first. So improper fractions, number 2, good way to practice this, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7, so that becomes 7 thirds minus, and then this one is 1 times 8 is 8 plus the remainder of 5, 8 plus 5 is 13, 13/8. Then we do this step because we have different denominators. If you've got the same denominator, it's easy, just go ahead and add the numerators. But we have different denominators going on here. So what's our lowest common denominator? You think, what's the lowest common multiple of 3 and 8? So what's the smallest number that both of these divide evenly into? Have a little think. Is it 12? Is it 21? No, it's not. Something a bit higher. Sometimes it's one of these numbers, but 3 doesn't go into 8, 8 doesn't go into 3. So it's not either of those numbers. It's a higher number instead. It's 24. So we need to write both of these little fractions so that there's something over 24. Notice it's minus, so don't say change it to plus suddenly. So try to think, what did 3 have to be multiplied by to make 24? 3 had to be multiplied by 8. So times the numerator by 8 as well. So it's 7 times 8, it's 56. Now what does 8 need to be multiplied by to make 24? That's right, it's multiplied by 3. So multiply the numerator by 3 to keep it balanced, so that this fraction will technically be equivalent to that fraction. Like see, 3/4 is equivalent to 15 20ths. 4/5 is equivalent to 16 20ths, because this simplified becomes that, that simplified becomes that. So back to here, 13 times 3, have a think what that would be, because it's a non-calculator. That's right, that would be 39. Then we've got the same denominator. Denominator doesn't change when you're adding or subtracting for the final answer. We need to subtract the numerators because it's a subtract this time. So what's 56 minus 39? You could think it's similar to 56 minus 40, and then just add 1. So it's 56 minus 40. That would be 16, and then just add 1. Gives you 17. Then you need to think, does that fraction simplify any further? No, it doesn't. There's no number that divides evenly into 17 and 24, apart from 1. So we just leave it like that. Lovely. Multiplying. Multiplying is so nice. Multiplying is just multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. You can do a thing called, and you can see because it's a positive times a negative, it's going to be negative overall. You can do a thing called cancelling down first. So I'll show you the cancelling down method to begin with. The cancelling down method, you can cancel vertically or diagonally. So 5 and 5 cancels down. You can divide that by 5 and 5, which will give you 1 and 1. 4 and 9 doesn't cancel down though. And then you just do what's 4 times 1? It's 4. And what's 1 times 9? It's 9. And overall, a positive times a negative is a negative fraction overall. So that's how you would do it by the cancelling down method. I'll also show you the regular method, which would just be like, you just go 4 over 5 times negative 5 over 9, which equals 4 times negative, it's negative overall. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 9 is 45, and then you would just have to simplify that, because 20 and 45 can both be divided by 5, which would give you negative 4/9. So see, you get the same answer. But if it's possible to cancel down, it just means sometimes you don't have to simplify at the end, or don't have to simplify by as much. So remember, you can't cancel diagonally. I mean, you can't cancel horizontally, but you can cancel vertically or diagonally. That's meant to be negative 2/7 times negative 3.5. So remember, a negative times a negative, it's a positive. So our answer is going to be positive. But it's like with the adding and subtracting, we need to turn the improper fraction, the mixed number into an improper fraction first. So it'll be negative 2/7 multiplied by, and negative, so it'll be negative overall. Well, what's 3 times 2? It's 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So as an improper fraction, it's 7 2s. We can cancel down again. See, we can cancel 2 and 2. We can cancel 7 and 7. Fantastic. So you could do the cancelling down method, or you can just multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators, and then cancel down. So negative times a negative is a positive, and then 2 times 7 is 14, and 7 times 2 is 14. 14 divided by 14 just simplifies to 1. So if you did the cancelling down method, 2 and 2 would become 1 and 1, 7 and 7 would become 1 and 1. And negative 1 over 1 times negative 1 over 1 is like negative 1 times negative 1, which is just positive 1. So don't forget to cancel down if you can, because it just makes life easier. But if that's confusing, you don't need to do that. You can just multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and then cancel down. Sometimes that's more work though. Dividing, do you remember a thing? I don't know how you were taught, but some people think of the keep, change, flip. If that helps you, go ahead and remember that. You don't need to memorize this though. Keep, change, flip does help some people. So keep, change, flip, meaning keep the initial fraction. I'll just write it all out, negative 1/5. Change the divide sign to a multiply, and flip the second fraction. And then see, it's just a regular multiplication now. So we have equals. Can we cancel down? No, we can't. So it's a negative times a positive, so it's going to be negative overall. 1 times 4 is 4, because remember we just multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. Double check, can you cancel down? No, 4 and 15, highest common factor is 1, so you can't cancel it down. So negative 4/15 is our answer. Same thing, we need to turn these into improper fractions first. So 4 times 3 is 12, plus a remainder of 2 makes 14, our new numerator. Denominator doesn't change, it's still 3. Divide by 1 times 8 is 8, plus a remainder of 7, 15 over 8. And then now we can do the keep, change, flip, because dividing by 15/8 is the same as multiplying by 8 over 15. So keep the first one, change that to a multiply, then flip the second one. Is the easiest way to do it. Can we do any cancelling down? No, we can't, really, so because you can only cancel vertically, diagonally, but not horizontally, so we can't cancel these ones. So we have to instead work out what's 14 times 8. You can think, what's 10 times 8? That's right, it's 80. What's 4 times 8? It's 32. So what's 80 plus 32? That's right, it's 112. Over 3 times 15. What's 2 times 15? It's 30. Add another 15. We've got 45. Does this cancel down at all? Let's see, that's a multiple of 3. This one's not a multiple of 5, so we can't divide by 5. This one's not even, so we can't divide by 2. This one's a multiple of 3, but 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4, and that's not a multiple of 3, so 112 is not divisible by 3. And the fact we couldn't cancel here, like if we could cancel diagonally or vertically, then that's a sign that if we couldn't cancel, that's a sign that it's fully simplified already. So you could change it to an improper mixed number if you want, but improper fractions are just fine. So thank you very much. That's the end of the lesson.